Hello, everyone, and welcome to the actual finale of our reading of Fate Prototype Fragments of Sky Silver. You may notice that I am currently a ping tuber as opposed to being a regular 3D VTuber, and it just comes down to the fact that I am too tired to make sure my camera's all set up properly. So we're not going to worry about that. We're just going to freaking read this and finish it off. I'm excited to finish it, but then I also have to pack for my vacation, so that's why I'm kind of just getting this done. So that said, let us begin with Special Act Fate, along with the bonus stuff that comes after. So let us get going. Early that morning, there was an earthquake. Not a very big one, just a slight tremor. The earth beneath their feet shifted ever so slightly, a natural phenomenon that no individual could possibly resist. Wait. The earth beneath their feet shifted, a phenomenon no individual, I guess, could resist, yeah. For the young people in the Kanto region, I'm going to be honest, I prefer without the U. Well accustomed to the sensation, it was probably hardly even worth noticing. Whether they even opened their eyes when they sensed it or not, most would probably have continued sleeping until their alarm clock went off for morning classes. Her reaction was different, though. Perhaps because she had no memory of experiencing a vertical earthquake. Vertical? Oh, I didn't know there's different types. Kitano Tamaki jumped up in a panic. She'd been sleeping in her brother's futon, which had his scent deeply sunk into it, a futon which clearly was only ever aired out a few times a month. That's kind of gross. When she sensed the earthquake, she instinctively kicked off her duvet and blanket. Ooh-ah! The faint light of the early morning seeped through the gaps of the curtain and into the 6 tatami mat-sized room. A small apartment. Right, she was somewhere else, not her usual room, her brother's room. She wasn't at their home in Hiroshima. She was at her brother's apartment in Tokyo. Although it was her brother's room, he was nowhere to be found. Alone, his sister slept on the futon laid out there. Not knowing when her brother might return, she tried to stay awake as long as she could. Yet, around midnight, she couldn't hold on any longer and shut her eyes. Before she knew it, the cold night had already turned into a bitterly cold morning. It had been nearly a week since she began spending her nights this way. Still groggy, she rubbed her eyes and tried to stand up. What happened? Well, an earthquake. Was that truly all? Well, she couldn't say. All she had was the strong intuition that something important had happened. Tatsumi? Even with no sign of anyone else, her throat made the sound. Before she knew it, she was outside of the room. The temperature must have been in the single digits, but the cold didn't bother her much. She wanted to get outside as quickly as possible. It was past 6:30 a.m. in a corner of Setagaya, quite quiet in stark contrast to the daytime, with far fewer passing cars and people. It felt like the world's population had suddenly swindled. I think that's meant to be dwindled, right? That's dwindled. Swindled is something different. She inhaled the bitterly cold air deeply and exhaling white breath, and looked up at the Tokyo sky as dawn broke. Light. Sunlight. It looked like something she'd seen once while walking home along the Maruko River. Why? That was a sunset. The light's intensity, its colors were all different, and yet it felt so similar. Ah. Just then, Tamaki understood what it was she was feeling. Whatever it was, it hadn't begun. It had probably come to an end. She had refused to return with her parents, who had come to Tokyo to help file a missing persons report at the Setagaya police station. With a fierceness that surprised even herself, she insisted that she would wait for her brother, crying like a child. Then, alone in the apartment, she had waited days for her brother to return. Adding the days before her parents arrived, it had almost been a whole week. These days in Tokyo, born from the moratorium days just before her high school life would resume in spring, the days that felt like a bad dream without a sense of reality surely were at last over. It was all over. There was no logical reason for this belief, just a resignation that was how it was. Guess I have to go home now, Tatsumi. Her voice was hoarse. She had realized that her cheeks were wet. She had no idea that she had been crying. Fate prototype. Fragments of Sky Silver. Fate. That same time, one day in February 1991, Tokyo, Chiyoda Ward, Kanda Surugadai District, Ochanomizu, on the rooftop of the Hilltop Hotel. Alone, Elsa Saijo gazed at the dawn sky. There were no traces left. The morning scene that spread before her eyes as the sun gradually rose up was an unmistakable winter sky. No trace of the vivid magical energy that had once erupted from deep underground into the sky could be seen, and yet Elsa definitely sensed it. Whether it was because she was once a master in the Holy Grail War, or whether every magus would have felt the same thing, she couldn't say, but she knew that it had all come to an end. The conclusion of the Holy Grail War, the immense stirring of magical energy, likely from the Greater Grail and its sudden disappearance. She felt it intuitively. The Grail had not been activated. The curse that had surely pierced deep into her spirit, reason, memory, and very soul had begun to live. Either sprung to life or begun to live. Let's go with that. The uniquely intricate magecraft formation, unlike anything from the East, had surely been the work of that terrifying girl, the Master of Saber, the girl with clear eyes. And yet, just before she felt that faint tremor, it had vanished. Completely. Elsa's spirit had been liberated. The sturdy thread that had bound her as tightly as smoked meat was transformed into smooth silk and effortlessly slipped away. Archer, Arash. She narrowed her eyes, letting the warmth of the morning sun wash over her. Her vision blurred. The tears, which she thought would dry up completely, showed no signs of stopping. When she lost her beloved son Luca, she told herself that she would never cry again. She thought the same when she used the 3 strokes of her command spell to command Archer to unleash his noble phantasm's true name. And yet, they would not stop. Tears overflowing, creating the illusion that everything within her everything within her was melting and flowing away, but they still would not stop. She sobbed. She called his name. Not the class that he was assigned when he was manifested into this world, but his true name, over and over. Thinking that surely this would be the last time she uttered his name. The words squeezed out after his name weren't able to form into a clear vocalization. There was no reply, because he wasn't there. Elsa had no idea where Archer's soul had gone. She had not even been told of the Holy Grail War. The fact that the Holy Grail, which held the spirits of 7 heroic spirits, would transform into a beast of calamity was never revealed to anyone. Only those now scattered into depths of darkness knew it. Elsa had an odd misunderstanding. She didn't think that he had returned to the throne. She thought only of the fact that Archer Arash had vanished from the earth. As someone mourns a living person who has died, she imagined the man that she knew, and mourned him. Farewell, my last and greatest servant, Arash Kamengir. Now wipe away those tears. Lift your head, Elsa. Fetch that favorite travel bag of yours, that one he said was nice. Head to the holy church near the hotel and complete the formalities. Flash the most dazzling smile at that reptilian-looking overseer, oh my god, pretending not to care about a pathetic woman who summoned a great hero to this rarest of rituals in the Far East, only to suffer a crushing defeat and just barely survive. Do your best to spoil the sadistic priest's smug grin. If faced with that priest, Archer surely wouldn't have let himself make a sour face. Then go home. Return to your hometown after so long and visit Luca's grave. It's been over a year since you went. There's so much to tell him. About the extraordinary hero you met in the Far East. Tell him about that too, after just a little more tears. So this is a Reiroukan family servant testimony. Okay. This was a week in February, about a week after the master passed away. The seismic activity was not particularly high, I believe. It was the day of that early morning earthquake. Normally, I would have not paid it much mind, but that day, for some reason, I was so startled that I went to wake my colleague in the next room. That is why I remember it so well. Yes, indeed, the Reiroukan Manor in Suginami. Most of the servants, myself included, had already returned to the main house from the villa in Izu, so all of the servants' quarters were occupied at the time. Yes, it was definitely the morning of February blank blank 1991. You know what? That's fine. It's accurate. It was not quite 8 in the morning. Standing at the main gate of the manor was a tall, handsome man with blonde hair. Oh! He entrusted us with a girl about 7 or 8 years old. When the steward asked his reason for this, the young man said nothing and did not explain his connection to the girl. All that he told us was that he was the only daughter of the Seijo family. And then he said, "It's all over now. This child no longer poses any threat to the Reirukans." I didn't understand what he meant by this, but the steward seemed to have sensed something in it. We were bewildered, but he gave us instructions and we complied. He said that the young girl was an official guest from the Seijo family and that we should welcome her with courtesy. So indeed, we prepared the guest room straight away. I didn't say this to boast, but we were trained to handle any situation. That was the duty of those who work in the Reiroukan Manor. A girl? Well, yes, an adorable little one, fast asleep. The young man with blonde hair vanished right after that. I have no idea where he went. The girl we took in, I believe her name was Seijo Ayaka. I believe that was what the Reiroukan mistress told us. By that time, she had already returned to the residence with us. Ayaka slept for a long time. Some of the younger, more talkative servants would jokingly call her Sleeping Beauty, which the steward and myself would scold them for. She did indeed sleep for a long time, though. The deep sleep that she was in worried all of us quite a bit. Ayaka spent several days in the guest room of the Reiroukan Manor. I don't recall if she ever woke up. The estate's personal physician came to examine her several times, and I recall that he told us there was nothing particularly wrong with her body. If it was what you would call, how should I put this, a mental illness, I cannot say for certain. At least, I never heard anything about it. Oh, but later on, the mistress spoke a bit about it. She said that a calamity, a curse, had befallen the Seijo family as well, one very similar to the tragedy that had struck the Reirukans and took the master just a few days prior. I heard that Seijo Ayaka had lost her entire family. That girl sleeps to keep her heart from breaking. Facing such a cruel reality is just too painful, is what she said. Maybe the reason our young mistress acted as she did was because of her mother's words, but that might have been my own sentimentality talking. Yes, on another day like this, the young mistress visited Ayaka, who lay sound asleep in the guest room. Reiroukan Messiah. Despite her father's sudden passing, she was an admirable young lady who bravely managed all of her family's affairs. She was surely grieving herself, but still came to encourage her mother through her sorrow every day. Truly, she always seemed to be perfect. No, was perfect ever since she was a kid. Yes, that day I saw something truly extraordinary. A sight so unbelievable at first glance. I had looked away at the crucial moment, so I cannot say whether the young mistress herself did it, or if Ayaka unconsciously reached out to cause it. But whatever it was a rare sight indeed. It was nothing short of miraculous to see the young mistress, who never invited friends into the manor, spending time with a child her own age. Then to see them holding hands? Truly, they were like a pair of sisters. An excerpt from the Reiroukan family. Aw, servant, aw. Yes, indeed. It was Seijo Ayaka who reached out. She must have been having a bad dream. Okay, so I'm guessing then this is... Okay, from the Mages Association records, an excerpt from the Reiroukan families. Okay. So, she must have been having a bad dream. For those who knew even a fraction of the harsh reality she must have witnessed, it's hardly surprising. She was breathing heavily, tossing and turning, saying things we couldn't understand, reaching out like she was seeking something. Her trembling hand wasn't too different from an innocent child's, unaware of the world, unconsciously seeking its parent. Was she reaching out to her father, who participated in the Holy Grail War and lost his life? Or was she reaching out to her sister, who also vanished in the same Holy Grail War? It's not something that I can understand. I did wish for her to have peace of mind, but her agony was so profound that I hesitated to intervene. But then, Messiah grabbed Ayaka's hand. I don't understand what Messiah was thinking at that moment. All that I know is that Ayaka slowly started to regain her composure and began breathing more peacefully in her sleep. Messiah remained motionless as this happened, her hands still touching Ayaka's. She gazed at her face for nearly an hour. These are objective facts. I can offer nothing more. My personal impressions at the time, you ask? Well, I mustn't say. As the steward of the Reirukans, it would be utterly improper for me to speak of events within the manor. Moreover, why should I tell you things so easily? Recording paused. Interviewer used persuasive magecraft. Oh my god. No, I will tell you. I must tell you everything, that's right. Watching the way my mistress gazed at the sleeping Ayaka, yes, that was how I felt. It was like the young mistress was watching over a lost part of herself. Looking back, even then the young mistress had already changed. Immediately after losing her father, she seemed filled with this awareness that she would inherit her house, that she would become the guardian of Tokyo, so to speak. With her overflowing talent, she commanded the Reiroukan family and everything under its control as her own. With so many vulgar creatures fawning over her like starving dogs, she stood strong and graceful, as if to declare that the Reirukans would never fall, holding everything firmly within her grasp. Messiah fulfilled her duties as the head of the Reiroukan family with great skill. In essence, she had cast off all of the childishness befitting her age. That was probably why, watching the girl lying in the guest bedroom, she wore an expression like she was looking at the self that she discarded just days prior. No, that's just idle talk. Please forget I said anything. These are not words that should be put on record, but words that this old servant should take to his grave. From the Mage Association records, an excerpt from the Reiroukan's family steward's testimony. Okay. Within the bustling Japan Rail Tokyo Station, on that day, at that moment, there were two women. Kitano Tamaki was there to board the Hikari 3 Tokaido Shinkansen to Hiroshima. Elsa was there to transfer to Ueno Station, where the limited express train bound for Narita would depart. God, this is funny because I'm literally, getting ready to go on that in about a week. Did their passing one another just before the elevator leading to the Central Line platform represent a destined crossing of paths, or was it just meaningless coincidence? There's no way to say for certain. Passing within mere inches of one another, each woman was most likely focused on her own destination. Their gazes never met. No. Their eyes did meet, but if only for an instant. Eye to eye. A line connected Tamaki's clear dark eyes and Elsa's emerald green eyes. They may have felt the fleeting illusion that the noise of the bustling crowd was muted for a moment, but they exchanged no words. Tamaki, realizing their eyes had met, reflexively gave a slight bow. Noticing this, Elsa returned a soft smile. That was it. One day in February 1991, these two women who had survived the Holy Grail War happened to pass by one another. The tracks of their destinies were perpendicular. And then... sorry. Tamaki, tilting her head in confusion at being smiled at by a beautiful foreign woman, while heading back toward the Shinkansen platform. Yeah, that's spelled right. For some reason in my brain that wasn't for a sec. Suddenly bumped into a passerby. It was because she glanced back several times, worried about what was now behind her. Hastily, apologizing and bowing her head, she timidly raised her face to look at the stranger. He was a tall man with long legs, a man with a cool, composed appearance, with stylishly shaped glasses that were not commonly seen and probably foreign-made. She vaguely thought that she might have seen him on TV before, but she didn't dwell on the fact. Her departure time was approaching. She had to hurry. If she missed it and left her mother waiting at the station Her departure time was approaching. She had to hurry. If she missed it and left her mother waiting at the station back home hanging, she would surely cry. Though, she would probably end up crying regardless. She herself would probably cry just as much. She thought she'd cry it all... oh my god, why can't I read right now? She thought she'd cried it all out this morning for over an hour. How many more times would she cry? The person who should have been there was gone. Her brother was gone. She wanted to believe that he was somewhere safe, so why did her chest ache like this? Pardon me, the bespectacled man said, then strode off briskly. He didn't even glance at Tamaki, who bowed in apology, and so Another ripple of fate had passed her by. The bespectacled man. A luxury German car greeted him as he stepped out from Japan Rail Tokyo Station's Yaesu Central exit. It was one of 7 that he personally owned. If those registered as company vehicles were to be included, his count would change by order of magnitude, but all were possessions driven by his hobby. His collection spanned the latest sports cars to vintage classics, with monetary value worthy of being called assets, yet to him they were mere pocket change. Compared to the genuine treasure that he had just brought back from London today via Narita, they were insignificant. West Shinjuku, he told the driver. Is that home? My office and my home are in the same building. He said it like a joke, then reached for the car phone. He dialed a pre-registered number, and the line connected in less than 2 seconds. Hello. Yes, I'm in Tokyo. The church already told me. The Holy Grail War was a failure, yeah? Yeah, that's right. Prepare a second chance. Money is no object. Gather every relic you can find, preferably from strong heroic spirits. The car was on the Metropolitan Expressway now. Gazing down at the city's skyscrapers, he went on. Nigel Serward? Wait. I thought this was Nigel. He went on. Nigel Serward. Digitize all the information we purchased from him. Wait, so then who's this? I thought this was Nigel. Never mind. I wonder who this is then. Okay. Nigel Sayward? Digitize and store all information we purchased from him. I don't know if he sensed that he would die. Oh, right, no, he died. But he told us quite a bit. Oh, and dispose of his body according to his wishes. Well, then who's this, I wonder? I mean, I have an idea, but... The person on the other end of the line acknowledged the order. He gave a slight nod in response. I always thought that a magus lineage, bloodline. What? I always thought that a magus's lineage, that would be their bloodline, was no more than a cumbersome burden, but it seems like that wasn't the case at all. An omnipotent wish-granting device. If such a thing appeared before me, I'd grab it before he could even blink. The first time around, I didn't even make it to the starting line. Oh, who is this then? He would soon reach his destination. Gazing at the silhouette of the newly completed Shinjuku New Metropolitan Government Building in the distance, his mouth twisted. Ambition, desire. He spoke the words aloud. This time I won't let it escape me. And then 8 years passed as the turn of the 20th century approached. Okay, we're back to the regular. Okay. 1999. The far eastern city of Tokyo. The unprecedented, unparalleled slaughter surrounding the Holy Grail, the counterfeit Holy Grail number blank blank blank, which bore the false promise of granting any wish, was to begin once more. Was it the remaining obsession of the Holy Church? Or was it influenced by some intent from the Mages Association at the Clock Tower? Regardless, the gears of fate turned, accelerated, and the lives of millions of people living in Tokyo were once again in the jaws of a great beast. The child growing into a beautiful young woman who was also swept up in the sealing memory, while sealing the memory of the subterranean Greater Grail. The child growing into a beautiful young woman was also swept up in it while sealing the memory of the subterranean Greater Grail deep within her memory. Okay, so she did just push it out of her memory. Okay. Turning toward tragedy, toward the nightmare. None could stop it, because those who knew too much said nothing. 7 new masters gathered in Tokyo and a new battle began. The girl who lost her memories. The witchcraft practitioner, Seijo Ayaka. The time limit on my death sentence is finally at 0. The girl who was a ruler, the hand that commanded beasts, Reiroukan Messiah. I wanted a hero who was killed by a woman, because you know how fearsome women can be, don't you? The saintly boy, the bound flesh, is semi-arrow, because I never had any friends. The outsider priest, the mad grin, Sangcreed Fane. Your father was pitiful, so close to the truth than you people. 3 more. One was a man. Seated atop Shinjuku's skyscrapers like he ruled them, he summoned the strongest hero from thousands of years ago. Okay, well that's Gil. What did he see in the Tokyo night that spread out below him? The remaining two? A man? A woman? 7 new servants were guided to the Holy Grail as well. Mystery descended upon Tokyo once more. The second Holy Grail War was about to begin, killing each other, stealing from each other, and then the Lord spoke thus: "Do not amass your riches upon this earth. When vain prosperity is reduced to nothing, the new millennium shall arrive. The symbol of wealth, the 7 sins of man, the chalice of gold stained beyond redemption, all to open up the gates of heaven. The final miracle shall be in the hands of the most worthy." Dark, dark, dark. A gloom filled the place as if darkness had condensed there. No natural light could penetrate it. Silence and death. Not a single proper life existed there. The millions of people living above the city of Tokyo would never know that it was a place where hundreds of girls had once shed tears as they lost their lives. If a living human were to take a single breath there, the remnants of despair, grief, and terror still drifting in the vast space would fill their lungs, scorch their brain, and drive them mad in an instant. It would be entirely possible for them to die from insanity. Somewhere in Tokyo, a vast underground cavern, the seat of the Greater Grail, the heart of the Holy Grail War. Something writhed there. Struggling to awaken from a deathly slumber, it was undoubtedly this very same colossal mass of flesh and viscera that should have vanished 8 years ago after being struck down by the Holy Sword. It had not perished. It remained. The immense light had indeed bloated away for a moment as it neared its complete evolution into a hideous beast. But alas, the seeds of mankind's evil are inexhaustible. The deep, lingering traces of death warped the space, revealing the beast in the depths of the darkness. An egg for rebirth, using the regenerated Greater Grail as its shell, waiting to incarnate, starving. Like water just about to boil, it bubbled, a black, viscous mass, black mud, the cradle of the dark beast. Before it, on a pile like a small mountain, there was one figure. A girl danced. "Saber, Saber, 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 I believed in you. I knew you'd come back." Innocently, cheerfully, she danced. "Oh, I love you so much, Saber," spinning round and around, like an automaton programmed to do just that. "When I think of you, it feels like my insides are about to spill out from my stomach, like the pain burning in my heart might wake me from this dream. I love you so much." A fairy, a delicate flower, a graceful lady. No, that cannot be right. Could she truly be such a thing? A princess to whom the world belonged. She held it in the palm of her hand with enough power to crush it effortlessly if the mood ever struck her. Ah, the mood had already struck. Now she simply waited for the perfect opportunity to shatter the world into pieces with accordance with her proper procedure. The Greater Grail still existed, bearing the beast, and her goal had not changed in the slightest from what it was 8 years prior. Seijo Manaka. Yes, nothing had changed. The years had brought her no growth. She had returned alongside the beast. Just as she had back then, the girl smiled, clad in an emerald green dress. Her stature had not changed. Her porcelain skin, her translucent eyes, her soft hair that would surely sparkle and glisten if any light were to hit it. None of it had changed, not even her smile. Its beauty held not a single shadow. The feelings contained within her eyes, which seemed almost moist, far surpassed those of 8 years prior. If there was one point which was clearly different, it was the neckline of her dress. Boldly exposed, it revealed a portion of her pure white skin and... "I want to hurry and see you." The proof of a first-ranked master. The command spell with 7 wings, pierced through the center as if to skewer her heart. A crimson sword wound. "I want to see you. I want to see you right away." The girl sang, cried out, and prayed for her love. Love, the ferocious thing which devoured all existence, hidden within her chest as a substitute for a heart. In the darkness, the faint glow of magical energy flickered on, symbolizing the death that hung over the heavy space. Yeah, that's such an image. God, it's quite Like, it's an image. The fact that the blood is still there. Did Manaka dance on this dark stage without an audience? Well, no, there was a small audience. Behind the girl stood 6 figures. 6 distorted heroes held captive by the Holy Grail, never returned to their seats, manifested there. Oh, wow, okay, no, they're still there. Huh. I have to kill Sigurd again, don't I? How troublesome. Lancer, who once guided the hero. 6 small vials formed round her neck, filled to the brim with black liquid. Needles protruding from the vials pierced her neck, injecting the black impurity, a poison like the one that drove her mad 8 years ago into her brain and spirit, melting them away. She had no way to resist. In an instant, she went mad. With love, with passion, she wielded her spear to kill the Sky Silver Knight who she loved beyond measure. Archer, who once split the world. Reflected in his twin eyes were not the blood-soaked path of the Holy Grail War, but also the beast that would soon leap forth onto the earth and trample all beneath its feet, as well as his own existence. He had no choice but to walk toward the future he saw. He had no way to refuse. He was remade as to serve and obey the girl. And so he would unleash a black rain that shattered all it touched, to slay the most ancient and venerable of all, the Golden King of Heroes who ruled over the city of Reiroukan. Insolent. Rider, he who once ruled the earth. He had been ridiculously remade, not as a raging king, but as a vanguard bringing destruction. Alongside the blackened archer, he would shatter the earth. He commanded his divine ship and divine beasts, fully blackened just as he was, and would shatter all things with the light of his blackened sun. Transforming the brilliance of the sun into radiant darkness instead of illuminating it all, it shrouded everything in shadow. To utterly shatter the Golden King of Heroes, who acted as if he were the king of the earth. It took forever, but that damn Jekyll finally backed off. Berserker, he who once embraced great evil. Now the roles were reversed. With evil at his front and good at his back, he was born from the black mud. His human form wouldn't last longer than an hour. Exhaling the miasma of evil that parted his lips, blood boiling, he impatiently awaited his master's command. He would become a mad beast, swinging his claws, biting down with a jaw of sword-like fangs, to shatter the family's hound with his legendary crimson spear and lap up fresh blood. I think that would be your command. Your command, master? Caster, he who once bore hope. Shedding his dark robes, he donned the mantle of despair and wielded his magecraft. O 4 great elements, go mad and wail. O 5 great elements, curse the world and rot away. Acknowledging all love and violating it, he strove for the dark fulfillment that the Holy Grail must reach. To shatter the hope of every hero. No, to face the family's fierce hound. Everything, all my master desires. Assassin, she who once sought love. Submerged in the darkness beneath Tokyo, she would transform everything into death. Now freely manipulating the black mud as a tide of poison she would pursue. Whether human or heroic spirit, not a single soul could escape her. Before the soundless advance of the poisonous sea, all power would be utterly futile. The black tidal wave would eventually become a toxic tsunami, engulfing the far eastern city whole. To swallow the Sky Silver Knight she faced 8 years prior, who was now just a hazy memory. My saber, my one and only prince. Surrounded by blackened servants, Seijo Manaka continued dancing in the darkness. If you hear explosions, don't worry, it's just Chinese New Year. Great time for this. Gracefully, splendidly, her radiant smile mirrored her hidden love. Manaka, 6 blackened heroes, an arriving colossal black mess. The army that would trample the world was complete. Beings with immense magical energy within them, easily capable of crushing the thin veneer of reality that the people of 1999 lived in. From the hideously trembling, amorphous mass, a colossal beast writhed, attempting to form its heads just as it had 8 years prior. Soon upon that completed head, the princess of the root, with enough power to claim and manipulate the entire world as she pleased, would surely enthrone herself with a maniacal laugh. Who would defeat this? Who would save us? No. No human could stand against this crisis. They would only be torn apart and cleaved in two. They would only be gouged and pierced through. They would only evaporate and vanish into thin air. They would only be crushed. They would only become voiceless skeletons to be manipulated. They would only be invaded and melted away. They would only be able to realize that the world is an ocean of despair. At its unreachable edge, no matter how much they moan, scream, or choke back tears, they would not be saved. They would become the very embodiment of misery and perish. There could be no exception, no hope. Mankind, you will meet your end here. But perhaps, but the knight with the holy sword appeared once more. Oh yeah, look at them, they're all crazy now. Oh yeah, and that is, we get to see sort of Hyde there a little bit. He looks a bit different from FGO, but... Oh, that's the same image, but even better. Wow, cool. I'm here to protect you. I'm Saber. Yes, indeed hope is not lost, nor is light. In this world there exists that which cannot be swallowed by the dreadful darkness of great evil. Transcending time, the sky silver heroic spirit appeared in the far eastern city at the millennium's end. With the radiant holy sword in hand, surely a new deadly struggle for the Holy Grail would unfold with the 6 new servants. But eventually the time for the true conclusion would arrive. Standing alongside 2 who fought with their lives, the ancient king of heroes and the peerless hound. He would slay the 6 blackened heroes he once fought and confront the great beast and save the world. To protect once more with his own hands the girl he was destined to meet. Not as a king who saves his nation, not as a saint who saves the world, but as a lone knight clinging to a single vow. The end. Oh man, okay. Well, I mean, I was slightly expecting it to maybe start to go into like, you know, hey, here's what happens at the end of Fate Prototype. But no, it just does... I mean, we got a little bit of what happens during Fate Prototype in a couple of the volumes, but for the most part, they do leave it kind of open as to our interpretation of what we think is going to happen, which is fine. I'm okay with that. I don't necessarily need it to be fully explained to me what happens there. I'm fine with imagining, essentially. Though, of course, it would be cool to at least get these servant forms in other things as well. But we're not done yet. We still have a few more things to read, so let's get on with the Afterword to see what's up with this. So, Afterword. The Holy Grail War draws to a close. The counterfeit Holy Grail finally activates, and the apocalypse roars forth. With the final dawn, 14 lives reach their end. And at the end of these desires, woven by countless intersections of mystery and illusion, thoughts and desires. The work is a spin-off of Fate Prototype, made from the original draft of Type Moon's Fate Stay Night, a work that unfolds across multiple forms of media, including games, manga, and animation to this day. Where Fate Prototype depicts events in Tokyo of 1999, the work turns back 8 years, so yeah, we know this. We made it to the final volume. It's only because of the tremendous support from readers we've been able to make it so far. We sincerely hope that you enjoy the conclusion of the story and the outcome of the Holy Grail War. 2 things were decided from the project's inception. First, the final scene. Those who have seen the bonus Fate Prototype video included, yeah, we got this, right? We'll know the scene, of course, right? Second, the true identity of Seijo Manaka. How did this peerless, omnipotent being, a girl connect to the root itself, fall in love? Or rather, how did this omnipotent god become a girl in love? Regarding the latter, everything was told to me in the truth given to me by Nasu Kanoku-san before serialization began, when this idea was just work was just an idea. I remember feeling profoundly convinced and yet deeply shocked. The Holy Grail War, the bloodstained ritual where 7 masters and 7 servants clash, and a conspiracy harboring calamities that threaten to bring the world to crisis, a battle where knights of fate eventually strive for justice, but could it be more than anything from that? After some time, the truth has finally been revealed, and so, with the final scene predetermined, the story of Sky Silver reaches its truth. Now for acknowledgements. Nasu Kanoku-sama, I'm deeply grateful that you entrusted me the story of 1991, so deeply connected prototype that you watched over the serialization and publication for nearly 3.5 years. The message you shared when the serialization concluded still warms my heart. Along with this volume's commentary, these are treasures I will cherish as long as I live. To Takeuchi-sama, looking back, I deeply realize how your constant support for me was, both tangibly and intangibly. Thank you. I'll strive to meet your expectations expressed for me in your commentary in monthly Comtix final issue of serialization. Nakahara-sama, you worked tirelessly on all 5 volumes. Your illustrations of covers given tangible form to the world of the story, each rendered as abundant, magnificent, full-color works of art. It was as though the world was truly completed. Thank you. A few more here. Morisu Ryu-sama, Sanda Makoto, Higashida Yuichiro, Narita Ryogo-sama. Thank you for your immense and constant support. I'll make sure to repay you all one day. We got WinFan Works, Hirano Kiyoyuki, Koyama, and everyone in the editorial and sales department. Until next time when we meet again. Commentary. I was going to say, we got one from Nasu here. It says, there are so many fragments. One which strayed from the path due to a small act of kindness, youth who saw hope in that kindness, one who sank into cheap dreams beyond their station, a girl who wandered endlessly before vanishing like foam, one saved by a lone saint, the king who sought to save the world with that same virtue, one who returned from Magus to father, the sage who, because of pure ambition, misjudged pure love, one warrior who returned to being a mother, the hero who laughed, finding that good, one who changed from cold ice to fleeting flame, the woman who, mad with longing, did not defile her love, and the girl who changed from angel to girl, the knight who swore allegiance to one alone. Their stories have reached a temporary end, toward the conclusion prepared from the beginning, which would soon follow, the eve of the original Holy Grail War, the existence of the beast, the root of human evil, which became the basis for summoning of heroes, and the beginning and end of love for the girl who commanded it. I am the one who deciphers it, the one who receives it, and the one who engraves its footsteps upon my heart. Farewell, beautiful fragments. The many fragments woven together will be kept safe in this hollow void. Oh my god, why do you... Like, this isn't a comment. This itself has so much for us to find. Why are you so cryptic? Damn. Sakurai Hikaru had already explained how the work came to be and what it connects to, so I'll admit that here. What I should speak of is pure gratitude. The story of Fragments of Sky Silver to all the readers who picked up this book and its author, Sakurai Hikaru. Page 10 Out was released in 2004, but its source material, Fate, was an even older, unfinished work. A long, long time ago, a much younger, far less mature writer who innocently dreamed of a story about a girl burdened with the weight of the world and the boy who saves her. That sort of story common among aspiring writers. The tale never reached a conclusion, sinking into the depths of memory. After a series of strange transformations, it became the animated short Fate prototype. I still remember the day a writer who glimpsed that fragment, which was truly a fragment of a dream I'd once had, came to me and asked to take on that dream. And the fact that the writer was the author of a work that profoundly impacted me. Sekien no Ignarok. I don't know what that is. I'm curious, what is that? Does that have an... If that has an English name, I would probably use that there. Seiken no Ignarok, What a Beautiful People. Is that what it's called? What is this? I've never heard of this. Oh, it's an eroge visual novel. Okay. Well, that's a child. Of course you would feel connected to that, Nasu. Well, that is part of the title. I'm gonna put that in there. Yeah. Oh, no, it does have an English title. Its English title is Ignarok of the Raging Flame, What a Beautiful People. That is what the English title is. So I'm gonna use that there because I prefer the idea. I always am on the side of use the official English name there. Oops. Ignarok of the Raging Flame, What a Beautiful People. Yeah, that's what it's called. I much prefer that, at least. Made is twice as much of a joy and a surprise. Yeah, I've never heard of this. Okay, the cat girl's kind of cute, though. Its art's kind of schnasty, and I kind of mean that positively. It has very weird art. Cat girl is cute in it, though. Well, I was going to say maybe I'll read it, but no, I'm seeing some very young girls. Never mind. I'm out. Okay. It was like a letter in a glass bottle that had washed ashore. A box that had sunk deep into my memory and passed into the hands of a talented writer and opened anew. Now, 3.5 years later, Fragments of Sky Silver showed me a breadth and depth of this world far beyond anything I'd once dreamed. I doubt I'll ever be involved in a work with so full of romance such again. I'm grateful for that connection, that encounter. To Sakurai Hikaru, who crafted such a compelling story from such fragmentary details. To Nakahara, who became her partner and colored this world. And to you, dear reader, who picked up this new unorthodox fate. I will show you all my gratitude again someday and prepare a new stage for the characters born in this work. That is grand order, probably. Okay, here we go. We have the last thing here. Bonus novellas to finish things off. So we'll give this a go here. Not Here, Not Now. Bonus novella included in Volume 5 of the drama CD. I heard a voice. Oh, I was dreaming. Good morning. Well, how about we have a drink? A dream. What else could it be but a dream? They say that heroic spirits who have undergone the process of being summoned after centuries have no need for sleep to recover from mental fatigue. Thus, they neither doze off nor encounter dreams in sleep. My circumstances were somewhat different. Though I'd been assigned to the Saber class, I could hardly be called a normal servant. I am Arthur Pendragon, not a heroic spirit, the shadow of a deceased human. I'm the King of Knights at the moment of his death, granted a temporary spiritual foundation, a singular existence who fulfills a contract with the world of my own volition. So yeah, it's the exact same as Stay Night, pretty much there. In other words, I had a physical body. Just like a human living in this age, just like a living being with a proper life, I maintain robust vital functions through oxygen intake via breathing and nutrient intake via eating, while periodically resting my mind through sleep. I'm not a mystic entity like other heroic spirits who require neither food nor sleep. And yet, with the spiritual foundation of a summoned heroic spirit and being formed by others... Formed by others? I think it's supposed to be ether there. Maybe, wait. A summoned heroic spirit being formed by... I'm not sure about that. That's a bit strange. I'm going to ask about that. Is that meant to be ether, or is that... Because what do you mean by formed by others? Huh. I suppose that would make me an abnormal servant. And so like this, I even dream. The strange and peculiar scene was surely a dream. From within the dimness, where several faint, shimmering lights drifted, a well-built man sat on a leather sofa. Archer, who had fought for the Holy Grail in the Tokyo of 1991, wore unfamiliar, modern clothing and held up a glass filled with ice. Oh no, he was offering it to me? The amber liquid swaying within it was whiskey. Judging by its uniquely rich, sweet aroma, it must have been a 14-year-old Tullamore DEW, a distilled spirit with the name of a certain town in Ireland, the same brand that was secretly the favorite of Hiroki, head of the Seijo family. This was surely evidence that the dream was composed of information drawn in from my own mind. You listening, Saber? It's the first time I've tried this stuff. It's damn good. The Seijo head told me it wasn't suited to be served on the rocks. I found myself naturally replying. Taking the offered glass, I added, "But if you recommend it this way, I suppose I cannot refuse," as a faint smile touched my lips. Not bad, huh? I like it with ice. The heroic spirit of the bow replied with a laugh. One glass shouldn't hurt, right? Come to think of it, did you drink 8 years ago? I sure did. Pilsner beer. It didn't seem like you have any here, though. No, this is my first time. I didn't sit on the sofa, bringing the glass to my lips as I stood. A rich aroma. In the late-night drinking sessions occasionally held at the Seijo residence, even during the Holy Grail War, I never once tasted a drop of alcohol myself. And yet here I was, given an unexpected chance to do so in a dream. Perhaps I'd always harbored some interest in the distilled spirits that Hiroki enjoyed. The sound of ice melting echoed within the glass. In life, a male voice rang out. Not Archer's. Oh! It was the king's voice. More accurately, the voice of the man who is both God and King of Kings. I heard that in the east there was a bowman who served the king of Persia. That he was a brave man who was blessed by gods and would always did what was right. I never imagined that after my death we would meet again as enemies and allies, then share a drink like this. You seem to be in good spirits, Pharaoh Ozymandias. The king was answered by the voice of a woman, like a spring flower blooming in snow. I knew both the voices of both the king and the woman, but what was with this calmness? The alcohol is passable, but this ice is excellent. That must be why. Well, thank you. I'm honored by your praise. Through the melting ice, my gaze fell upon a man and a woman seated together on a sofa. The man was Ryder, the ruthless, powerful Pharaoh Ozymandias who perished in the temple over Tokyo Bay. The woman was Lancer, the mad warrior maiden Brynhildr, who I pierced near Ikubukuro's Sunshine 60. No, I did not sense the immense power or danger I had once witnessed from either of these heroic spirits. There was no trace of the rage and madness that could have scorched all of Tokyo. But on the contrary, from the expressions, gestures, and tones of their voices, I could not help but feel something warm and gentle. Freed from their natures as heroic spirits, machines for combat meant to achieve objectives, and as servants serving their masters as familiars, their forms resembled those of humans who had finally attained lasting peace after a series of fierce battles. Oh, I see. I murmured. I understood. tilting the child cup that off... Oh, not child cup. It's probably chilled cup. No, he's not getting a... he's not drinking a baby cup. Tilting the chilled cup that Archer offered me, watching Ryder and Lancer laugh and chat, and beyond that, caught sight of several new figures at the edge of my vision. Berserker, Caster, and Assassin gathered together, seemingly discussing something. With all this, I could not help but be convinced. This must be a dream. Oh yeah, they're all just chilling casual. Oh, that's her white dress that kind of looks like the one in FGO. That's a cute outfit for Brunhilde, actually. Also, hair up on Paracelsus. Wow. Could you stop talking about spiders, Caster? Oh, is there a problem with that? Do you dislike spiders? Well, it's not that I dislike spiders as creatures, Assassin. I'm quite interested in them, being that they resemble insects yet are not. As one aspiring to be a great scholar, I must study natural history, but not spiders. The spiders are just... Yes, well, spider webs are not to my liking. They are... How should I put this? Well, to human eyes, they can sometimes seem cruel, maybe? Indeed. Spiders, I think they're cute. I don't quite dislike spiders myself. Do you like spiders, Assassin? I could tell you a thing or two about spider venom, actually. Sounds interesting, but perhaps we should hold off for now. Berserker might get scared. Hold on a sec, Caster. It's not that I'm scared. I understand that you dislike spiders. I won't mention them. Thank you, Assassin. How about we limit the discussion to spider venom in particular? I see. Well, that might work. What do you think, Berserker? In that case, sure. Oh, a demonic sword wielder, a swordsman who shaped supernatural vision into tangible form. Yes, Pharaoh. Before you utter his name, allow me to guess it. I know. Sigmund's son, the hero who overcame Barnstoker, riding upon the divine steed Sleipnir. Is it Sleipnir? I thought... how is that spelled in FGO? I'll check that after. I'll double check that, because I think that one's spelled a bit differently sometimes. Whoops. Sigurd, the great hero that great hero must surely have been the man you loved. Impressive as ever, Pharaoh. That is correct, but I still love him, so I see. Then I spoke out of turn. Forgive my discourtesy, Lancer. Indeed, even if we are no more than shadows etched into human history, our souls remain identical in every detail, knowing these far-flung days as our own experiences. Because of this, I too shall declare that my feelings for Nefertari do not merely exist in the past, but are a love that shall endure eternally far beyond the present. Right. You feel the same way, do you not? Yes, Pharaoh. What you say is true. So you've heard, brave warrior of the East, of the existences of our loves. Since you've heard it, you must bear yourself in turn. Even if you gain ethereal flesh and blood, you cannot forget your flame-like passion. Huh? Me? Well, I never had anything like that. Really, Archer? You don't seem like that sort of person. I never settled on one woman. Just one woman, sorry. Oh. Then what about that red-haired master of yours? Nah, I don't know if I can tell you about my master. This is interesting because it's just fragments of other stuff, right? I guess I may be out of place here. Tatsumi? Tatsumi? Hey, Hassan. Been a while, Jekyll. Glad you guys remember me. This makes it sound like it's in the Beast. And he's having a connected dream with it or something, right? Hey, Hassan. Been a while, Jekyll. I'm glad you guys remember me. Berserker would never forget you, Kitano Tatsumi. You think so? Want to drink something, Tatsumi? We have juice and alcohol. Nah, I'm underage, but hey, I guess laws don't apply here anyway. All right, pour me something. Sure. Do whatever you'd like, Tatsumi and Assassin. How about another round, Berserker? No. Wait a minute. Caster, what's going on here? I assume that we were the remnants of our souls left at the bottom of the Lesser Grail in Tokyo, but then there would be no reason for Tatsumi's consciousness to manifest, and it seems like he still has continuity with his past self, so... How astute. You agree, Caster? And is this one of your illusions? Not at all. I've done nothing of the sort. Then Assassin's... Well, 8 years ago, Assassin maintained her manifestation by devouring souls. When she killed Berserker's master, she used his noble phantasm and devoured his soul. In that case, would it be strange for her to bring the remnants of a companion along with that soul as an anchor? No, that's not what I meant. In this case, devouring souls consumes some magical energy to sustain a heroic spirit's physical body. Correct. But all of that is rather trivial now, isn't it, Berserker? After all, it was no more than a fleeting dream, a devil's plaything, a mere fragment of a dream passing through the mind of the holy sword wielder as he prepares to embark upon another battle. I was drunk. Intoxication. How long had it been? If this alcohol was meant to be drunk after battle, perhaps it was the long overdue wine of victory. And yet a subtle doubt still lingered in my heart. Was my battle truly over? The Tokyo Greater Grail. In the depths of the darkness, I remembered wielding my holy sword. Even with 6... We didn't use strictures, we did... restraints released. The light of the holy sword surely swallowed the beast which embodied calamity. The feeling that I had nullified the evil which sought to manifest upon this earth was etched firmly within my mind. And so could I truly accept that I survived the Holy Grail War and brought my battle to an end? I don't know. As I savored the feeling of potent alcohol slowly intoxicating my nervous system, a sensation that a spirit engraved on the throne, a righteous heroic spirit, would never feel, I heard the words of those whose fights truly were over. I heard them. Some say after this feast ends, they'll return to their loved ones. Others say that they'll be subsumed within the peace they'd longed for. Some with a shy smile say they'll depart for an eternal sleep which they'll never awake, with memories and love they attained as their only light. Someone asked, "What will you do now?" If the battle was over, then I had a place to go. I suppose I would have to accept my inescapable fate. Yes, that was what I meant to say. I still have more to do. Contrary to my thoughts, those were the words that left my mouth. So I must go. Oh yes, that's right, I must save my lady, and save the world. In the Tokyo of 1991 AD, I, who once let the world nearly fall to ruin, I, who vowed to protect a young lady, had to march forth to a new battlefield. Well said. Familiar voice rang in my ears. From the tower beyond the fields of flowers in a mad bloom, it reached me without fail. The voice of my mentor and friend, Merlin. Yes, that's right. I'm the beautiful mage of flowers who watches over your battles with bated breath. The kind-hearted big sister who gave you a small gift when the Holy Grail War was wearing you out. I thought it would serve as a little pick-me-up. Oh, it was Merlin who made it all to happen at the end. Your speech is so modern now. I've been watching from up in my tower for ages, you know. I've picked up on all kinds of phrases over the years. It seems that way. With a laugh like a fairy's. So what'll it be? Has the fatigue from your successive battles eased a little, or should we linger a bit longer? He narrowed his eyes. Within his gaze, Lancer was smiling at Archer and Rider. Assassin gave a timid smile, leaning close to an unfamiliar boy. Berserker gazed at the boy and Assassin with gentle expression, while Caster rested a hand on Berserker's shoulder. The battle is over, Merlin. Yes, you could say it's over. Or that it isn't. That's a strange way of putting it. The souls of those who raced through the First Holy Grail War, not in their entireties, but fragments of their souls and remnants of their spiritual foundations, remain imprisoned deep within the Greater Grail. They'll surely crawl back up to the surface soon, intent on killing you. I see. I downed the glass in one gulp. As the sensation of potent alcohol sliding down my throat was finished, I shook off every trace of intoxication. The will to fight, the heat of the dragon within my soul ignited into flames, scorching away all exhaustion and doubt. I renewed my resolve and determination. I would fight, hold the brilliance of the holy sword in my hands once more. I would fight, protect my lovely lady, defend the world of 1999 in which she lived and save my friends, the remnants of the comrades who fought against me in the Holy Grail War 8 years ago, who lent me their strength to defeat the beast. I'll be leaving now. It's about time you woke me, Merlin. No farewells? No. Turning my back on them as they continued their revelry. When this is all over, that's when I'll tell them. And finally, the final fragment. One day, February 1999. All right. Why don't we make a late-night snack together, Ayaka? He suddenly blurted that out. One day in February 1999. Of course, in the middle of the Second Tokyo Holy Grail War, a large-scale ritual where seven servants gather to fight to the death for their own desires, proper nutrition and rest to maintain my physical condition were extremely important. At the same time, I was facing a more serious problem. Whether it was because I was a magus or just in the middle of my growth spurt, I was started getting really hungry in the middle of the night. Honestly, I did appreciate his offer, but make a late-night snack? A heroic spirit, a humanoid of magecraft cooking with me, his master? At first I thought I might be dreaming, but his expression was totally serious. His sparkling, almost transparent blue-green eyes stared at me like they were saying he had no intention of teasing me whatsoever. Oh, jeez. I guess there's nothing else to be done. Late night snack, what are we gonna make? What would you like? Don't answer a question with a question. I thought that I'd make whatever you wanted to eat, that's all. Okay, that should be... Oh, jeez. Macaroni gratin. He decided that our late-night snack would be macaroni gratin. Alright, that was from the beginning, right? Gratin. It reminded me of my childhood somehow. I don't exactly remember when this was, but some nights when I came home from elementary school, when my father and sister left me alone, I ate frozen gratin a lot. I don't think it tasted very good when I ate it alone. It's not that I dislike gratin itself. I'd categorize it as something that I like. I was a little surprised, since there was no way he would have known any of that. Oh, but what if he did? Since I met him, the only cooking talk we'd had was about eggs, so did he pinpoint a familiar dish so perfectly? How did he do it so perfectly? I've never heard of a servant automatically knowing their master's preferences. Is something wrong? It's nothing. Very well then, let's begin. Why not? There are plenty of ingredients in the fridge. Somehow, he even knew what was in the fridge already. The number of times he stood in the kitchen was gradually increasing, and he may end up cooking more days than I do soon. Not that that bothered me, but heroic spirits have unprecedented and unparalleled value in the world of magecraft, a ghost liner manifesting the world with a physical form. It felt like a pretty overly mundane use for him. Living together, it probably would have made sense for us to take turns cooking. We didn't have maids or cooks like Messiah did after all. I thought about things as I sliced mushrooms into thin pieces, finally chopped the onions, and prepared everything as he told me. Saber, the water's boiling. The large pot of water that I put on the gas stove to boil the macaroni in started bubbling up. Thinking that it was about time we added the macaroni, I glanced over to him. He was standing in front of the fridge. At first, I couldn't really tell what he was doing. No, he wasn't really doing anything. He had the door halfway open and a bottle of red wine, which we had for cooking reasons, in his hand. He was staring blankly at it, frozen in place. It didn't really seem like he was lost in thought. A chill ran down my spine. What was wrong all of a sudden? Our magic circuits were still firmly connected, and there shouldn't have been any issue with his supply of magical energy. There he was, standing silently without a word. Something weird was going on. Saber! Oh, sorry. We don't need cooking sherry for this, do we? Oh, thank goodness, I guess it wasn't magical energy depletion. Yeah, we don't. Did I worry you, Ayaka? Apologies. It's not like I wanted to drink it or anything, I just had something on my mind. I wasn't really worried. Huh? My voice sounded needlessly cold there. It'd be easy for me to excuse it by saying I'm not great at talking to people, but we've fought together for several days at this point, and we'd even been on the brink of death together several times in a fight against heroic spirits. The fact I still couldn't quite gauge the distance between us was surely my problem, not his. In situations like this, I never knew how to rephrase things. Saying sorry feels odd, and explaining it that I didn't mean for it to sound harsh, it just slipped out that way, feels even stranger. So refocusing on the topic and continuing my prep work would probably be the best option. Probably. Keep dicing the onions. After finishing one onion and before starting the next, I glanced over to him. He was adding macaroni to the pot, stirring it with chopsticks while checking the heat. He didn't seem at all bothered by what I said, I think. Ayaka? What? I hope he didn't notice me watching him. Impressive. You're quite skilled at mincing. You've become quite the cook, haven't you? That's really cute. What's that supposed to mean? You act like you're my big brother sometimes, Saber. Try not to let my voice become cold like before, I replied. I'm not a kid, you know. Of course not. You're a proper lady. I'm a lady now because I can mince onions? No, that is not what I meant. He laughed. The way he smiled in moments like this was completely different from the aura of a servant clad in blue and silver as he fought. For a moment, no, for a full 2 seconds, I forgot that he was the ultimate weapon of magecraft, a mass of pure mystery. Before he was etched into human history as a heroic spirit, when he lived as a human, did he make faces like this all the time? The thought had crossed my mind many times over the past few days, but it always ended with just a thought. I didn't know his past. I didn't know his true name. Oh, you don't know his true name. Oh, that's huge. What kind of heroic spirit was he really? Was his kindness toward me, the way he acted around and spoke to me, related to something that happened in his lifetime maybe? I wonder about the other masters and servants. How much do they share with each other? Did they discuss everything in detail? Or did they barely talk, thinking that familiars had no reason to know anything about their masters? At the very least, it didn't seem like any of the other servants I'd seen in the Second Holy Grail War cooked with their masters. I didn't know. There were so many things I didn't understand. But in all of that, there was one thing I was certain of. I was the only master who didn't know their servant's true name. Just me. He didn't reveal his true name because it'd be dangerous to tell an inexperienced magus like me. I could understand the logic. I thought it was reasonable. He said he would reveal it eventually, but when would that time come? Ayaka, how's the white sauce? Just a sec. My mind wandered, but my hands kept moving. The onions, mushrooms, and chickens had all been prepped for a while, so now I was making the white sauce in a heavy pot. After melting some butter, I added flour, stirred it, and poured in some milk. Not all at once, but slowly, one ladleful at a time. That way it would reach that perfectly thick consistency. And don't forget the salt. Almost there. I took a small taste on a plate. That's about right. Want to try it too, Saber? Sure. Then grab a fresh plate. No. He silently gestured that the plate I'd used would be fine, but that, what should I do? I started to think, but wasn't I being overly self-conscious around my servant, even if he was a man? Trying not to let my hesitation show, I kept my composure, scooped some white sauce onto the plate with the ladle, and handed it over. Who would have guessed that I'd end up doing some mental training in the kitchen this late at night? I didn't need this kind of tension, but there was no one to complain to, so I had to swallow the thought whole. Thank you. His lips touched the dish. Yes, very good. Let's use this. Isn't it a little thin, though? It's good. I told you. With that, he flashed another smile. His blue-green eyes sparkled brighter than ever. Right, it was just white sauce. It was supposed to be a bit thin. Oh, geez. Since we're baking it on with cheese on top, I thought it might be problematic if the flavor's too strong. I see. You're anticipating the final result. Well, anybody would do that, I think. You really have become quite the cook, Ayaka. You've grown so much. Oh, this again, Saber? Aw, jeez. Aw, jeez. That was cute. That was a cute little ending. I'm very happy with that ended in that way. Overall, I enjoyed Fate Prototype. And, it's not just me saying that because I put in actual real-world money to turn these into real stories. But no, I actually do enjoy it. I think that this is a nice little story. It's very predicated on knowing Stay Night and the entire Fate world. Like, I don't think you could read this on your own. But at the end of the day, it is a nice story, and I do enjoy how it wraps up all together. On that note, it's gonna take a little bit for me to get everything together. Like, you might have noticed there was no bios at the start. Not that there are bios really needed for this one. I don't even think they're in here, are they? They're not. There are bios at the start, which we're gonna need to translate because they're a pain because they're not nicely formatted. There's, like, stuff on pictures, which is gonna be fun. And of course, I need to do a final bit of actual stuff, but otherwise, we'll be getting this probably out early March for people to start reading on their own, and then the entire Fate Prototype series will be available in nice, translated, consistent glory, which is awesome. Of course, next up, we will be doing Fate Labyrinth, but that'll come in a little bit. It's going to take a few days for us to kind of get that wrapped up once I get the PDF all ready, but otherwise, thank you all so much for joining me. Thank you so much for those who have helped out with your recommendations for translations and recommendations for all sorts of stuff. It has been quite great. Very nice to have this sort of collaborative effort going on. And, maybe in the future we'll have more stuff that we do in this way. I may have stuff which I kind of have an idea for after Fate Labyrinth, but we'll have to see where we go from there. So, otherwise, thank you all so much for joining me on this ride, and we will see you for Fate Labyrinth next, whenever that's going to be. And then, of course, back to Fate Strange Fake also, because we got to continue that probably after the anime. So we'll see you then for some more readings in the future, guys. Ciao.
Yo.